We are in Proverbs chapter 26. We are beginning in verse 6 today, but I do just want to go back up to verses 4 and 5 just to discuss those two verses briefly because they do go together. It has been used in a silly sort of way to say that the Bible contradicts itself. Okay, stop. That's silly. It's absolutely silly. Obviously, it is here and they're put together and it has a meaning to it. And the meaning would be given from situation to situation will depend on what you do in responding to a fool. All right, so verse 4, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. All right, arguing with a fool. And there's some folks, it's like I have told children before when they get in an argument, I mean older children like 7, 8, something like that, and they're arguing with a 3-year-old, you're arguing with a 3-year-old. All right, this just doesn't work. Just, you're not going to change their mind on it because they're just saying whatever. But arguing with a fool can be very much like that, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. And that is, some fools, they just want to upset your day. So, and I knew a fellow like that growing up. He loved it. He loved it when he messed up your day. And why? I don't know. I don't know. But he did. And he would just upset everybody. He would just say something, and you get in an argument with him. You're wasting your time, and you're playing his game. That's what you're doing. All right. Now we come to the next one. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Now there's certain fools. We'll just say certain fools that they may not be as extreme, or maybe they're in a given situation not going to be as extreme, and that they need to be corrected. They need to be, but it's going to be a matter of a judgment call in all of this. There may be a time when this actually is productive. And there's a time when it may not be productive at all. Now we come to verse 6. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. This would be some sort of vital not just duty or task, something that has to be done, and it's sent by the hand of a fool. Well, this is very different from a faithful messenger back in Proverbs 25 and verse 13. Faithful messenger is not a foolish messenger. Faithful messenger is going to do precisely what they're called to do, and they're going to do it well. The foolish messenger is, well, you don't know what he's going to do, and you're giving it to a fool, and one can almost predict the failure that's going to be there. It's a certainty that this isn't going to work the way you think it is, and you're going to be harmed by it. And the cutting off your feet and drinking violence, you don't want. Let's just think of like a king would. King sending out a message. King sending out like some sort of diplomat to go speak to a particular some other king, or you're sending a messenger out to talk to an advancing army. Are we sure we want to do this battle? Are we sure we're doing this? Can we not sit down? You're sending that by way of a fool. Well, there's just going to be trouble. It is going to be harmful to you, and what you thought you may have accomplished is not going to be accomplished at all. Here's this misplaced confidence, and we can see it in places like 25 and verse 19. Going back there, confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth or a foot out of joint. It joins right in with that subject. Now we come to verse 7. So 26 and 7. Like the legs of the lame that hang limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Not too long ago, we went to a sermon concerning that. How is it that a fool has the purchase price for wisdom? And he's not going to buy it. All right, he's not going to buy it at all. Giving a fool with a proverb, the proverb is going to be useless to him or her. It's going to be useless. It will do nothing. It will be pointless. It'll be pointless. And here recently, and I do mean recently, a few weeks ago, I was talking to somebody, and I did not bring up Proverbs at all. This person doesn't even know we're in the book of Proverbs. Don't even know it. Not here. But talking to a person, and they were reading through the Bible. They were in the book of Proverbs and said, "I hate the book of Proverbs." Why? Why would that be? Well, there's no story. Well, no, not really. No, there's not a story in it, but you're just gliding through this. To you, it's just a sentence upon sentence and sentence upon sentence, and you're not really stopping. There's no plot, but it is something that is going to provide wisdom, justice, equity. Those things are promised from the very beginning. And these have a depth to them. And yes, someone who's just going to rip right through the book, well, they have just been handed an extraordinary treasure, but it means nothing to them. They're not going to treasure it. They're not going to keep it. It's going to go, and you've read things. You read through a paragraph and then realized, I'm not talking about just the Bible. I'm not talking about just in reading a novel. It could be. You read a paragraph and then realized, I have no idea what I just read. My mind was wandering. I have no idea what I just read. And you have to read it over again. And, that can happen obviously with the Bible too. And so you put in the diligence, going back, reading that chapter, going back, reading what is there, but also understanding that God does not give you anything that isn't valuable. He's not going to do it. And He might also have other people in mind other than you in different times other than the time you live in, and different peoples and the people you are from. That it may be for, well, actually, it is for all people, all time. And something may not be absolutely the focus you need at this moment, but everything is needed. And Proverbs is always needed. Always. And a fool can, just like we were talking about in verses 4 and 5, don't answer a fool, answer a fool. Well, you would have a fool where that would be just lame legs to them. That would be just a useless thing that they would mock. That's it. Now, this is connected to verse 9. So we're verse 7. We skip verse 8 for a moment. And we go to verse 9. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. All right, what happens when a drunk gets a thorn in their hand? They don't feel it. All right, it's nothing to them. They may realize, they may have seen the thorn in their hand, but it doesn't mean anything to them as a drunk. Being drunk. It's not there. And they're unaware of it, except that it is easily disregarded and a problem that can be ignored. All right, I got this thorn in my hand. Yeah, whatever. And here is a proverb in the mouth of fools that it's something to mock. It's something that has no value to them whatsoever. It's meaningless to them. They're numb. Now we come back to verse 8. And we have mentioned this before, but earlier, because it was connected, it was similar to an earlier proverb. But like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. All right, there are other places, speaking of giving honor to a fool, and you bind a stone in a sling. Well, what have you done? We go back to verse 1, because this is connected to verse 1. This is also talking about honoring a fool. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. That a fool, it doesn't deserve honor. The fool's going to embarrass you by honoring them. It's going to be made into a mockery, an absolute mockery. We have today different awards that are given for people who have done something extraordinary. Okay, that's what they were set up to do. Things such as the Nobel Peace Prize, things such as the Pulitzer Prize for writers, and other things that other honors and the like that have been given to people who have done extraordinary things. You give the Nobel Peace Prize to someone who had nothing to do with anything peaceful, has made no contribution whatsoever to humanity, has done absolutely nothing. What have you done? And someone who's just, let's just call them, that person, we're talking hypothetically, that person's just a bona fide fool. You're honoring them and placing them next to these other people through the past who have done extraordinary things, received this, and now what have you just done? Giving honor to a fool, what have you just done? You've dishonored the whole business. You've dishonored it all. Of where this has become now a shameful thing. That this is no good at all, and it's a joke of what it should be. And honoring a fool is like that. Now we come down back to verse 8, like one who binds a stone in a sling. Now, slings were a common weapon in the ancient world. You have, such as in the book of Judges, you have men who were of the tribe of Benjamin. They were expert slingers. Now, archers are deadly on the battlefield, but slingers are too. They're very deadly. And it's not that David was the first to think of it. He wasn't. He wasn't the first to think of it at all. That had been going around. But to bind a stone in a sling, what happens? What happens is the stone doesn't leave the sling, and it comes back around and hits you, and it's not going to be pleasant. That's the same thing as honoring a fool. That it's going to come around and hit you, and there's going to be some regret involved in this. But this is precisely what's going to happen. Now, we go now to verse 10. We did verse 9. Now we go to verse 10. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. Now, don't think that somehow this is a good thing for the fool and for the transgressor. It's not. In Galatians 6:7, do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever you or whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. Revelation 22:12, and behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me to give everyone according to his work. That God is going to give the fool his hire. That's what he's going to do. And that will be in punishment form. That is the hire. The transgressor his wages. That's his wages. His wages will be that of punishment. 16 verse 4. We also have some other things in this. 16 verse 4. The Lord has made all for himself, yes, even the wicked for the day of doom. Now we're actually going to discuss this on Sunday. That I'm going to be using this on Sunday, but know this, that God makes no one wicked. No one is created that way. Every child is innocent. And we are the ones that fail him. And there is a reason why hell exists. Now, it does exist for Satan and his angels. That's who initially it was created for. And we can join it. And yes, he creates everybody. Just like he created every angelic being. And out of that lot, which is a massive amount, all right, that's numberless actually, there is a Satan, and there are those that are demons and unclean spirits and devils. God created them as well, but he did not create anything that was not good. He creates everything good, but free moral agents are in fact free moral agents. We're able to choose what we're going to do. You choose disobedience, you choose wickedness, you choose sin. That's it's all together. And that he will give the fool and the transgressor his wages. But there's also this, that God has formed everything. He has created everything in this. Now, we go to 26:11, and this probably very familiar to us because we see this being mentioned in 2 Peter 2 and verse 22. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. He's going back to the same behavior. Dog returned, the very thing that made that dog sick, that dog's going right back to it. All right? And if we go over to 2 Peter and just look at this, it calls it a true proverb. Let's just begin in verse 18. So 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through lewdness, the ones who have actually escaped from those who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption, for by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage. For if, after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, they are again entangled in them and overcome, the latter end is worse for them than the beginning. For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than, having known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered to them. But it has happened to them according to the true proverb. A dog returns to his own vomit. Now, it's going to add this, and just making another statement. A sow having washed to her wallowing in the mire. The dog goes back to the very thing that made it sick. the pig returns back to the filth after having been cleaned. All right, and so here is this fool going back into going back into a loop, and we can be very, very guilty of it, going right back to the behavior that puts you in this very difficult spot, and just can't seem to break that cycle at all. Now, verse 12. Do you see, so we're back in Proverbs 26:12. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. So, here is someone who thoroughly believes he is wise, thoroughly believes he is right, and pretty much all the time. All right, it's hard to deal with such a person, not just because of the sheer arrogance, but that this person, it doesn't matter what you tell them, if they don't believe it, if it's not what they think, then it's false, it's wrong, it doesn't work. And dealing with such a person, you know where you're setting yourself up for failure. That you think you know, you think you're wise, you think you have all these things, but you don't. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 12, for we dare not class ourselves or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves, but they, look at this, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. Where does their wisdom come from? Which is actually foolishness. Where does it come from? It comes from themselves. Okay? It comes from themselves. Not from any kind of solid standard, not from God. They make their own judgment, and there's a lot of folks guilty in that. They make their own judgment upon themselves into thinking they must be right. They must be okay. Why? What do you base that on? Just because I'm me. That's what I base that on. Just because I am who I am. And that hardly matters. You've got to be based on something else. Now, we go to 1 Corinthians and 1 Corinthians chapter 1, beginning in verse 18, for the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Now he's quoting Isaiah 29 and verse 14. And he destroys the wisdom of the wise. They're not wise. They're not at all. The understanding of the prudent. Well, they have no understanding. Their understanding is flawed. Then he says, verse 20, you have these questions. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? Yes, he has. All right. We create our own wisdom. We manufacture it. You know, you have folks that they live in their, you can think of, they live in their own little universe and their own little reality, and they think they know how everything is. They think they know how everything works, and well, it seems like it would in your little universe right there, in your little cosmos. It seems like it would, but it doesn't. And when you come to reality, that's nothing but foolishness. That's absolute madness. Nothing worked at all. And it is, you are just wise in your own eyes. Going back to 1 Corinthians again, we go to chapter 10 and verse 12. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. Never think that you are overwhelmingly wise and you cannot fall. That somehow you stand and could never possibly fall away. and someone who has convinced themselves that they are right. All right, they've convinced themselves they are. It's not that they've really looked at the evidence or really looked to see what God has to say about it, look at reality, but they believe it themselves. And they are just running right toward a wall and dreaming all the way. Now, we're back in Proverbs 26 in verse 13. The lazy man says, then this next section is on the lazy man. The lazy man says, there's a lion in the road, a fierce lion is in the street. All right, and so we've talked about this before when 22 in verse 13, the lazy man says, there's a lion outside, I shall be slain in the streets. And we just made mention, any excuse will do. It doesn't matter. Of course, this is hyperbole in a poetic way, but any excuse will do. Or no excuse. You just do what you're going to do anyway. And now we come to verse 14, and we're going to go to 16, and I want us to look at some things. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. That's the work that he does. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. Verse 16, the lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. So what do we have in all this? And we'll look at each one individually. But, okay, first off, lazy man makes excuses. That's what he does. He's got to have an excuse, which, you know what? If you're making excuses not to do something, you know you should be doing it. You know it. I don't have to make an excuse as to why I haven't taken over the world. One, I can't, but it's not even, I know that, why would I even want to do it anyway? I don't make excuses as to why I haven't blown up any bridges or any cars or anything like that, because I know I'm not supposed to do that anyway. All right? There isn't that moral expectation that you do such a thing. I don't have to supply an excuse. Matter of fact, God has given me plenty of reasons why you don't do that. All right, there's plenty of reasons. Someone who's got to supply an excuse knows very well they're not doing right. And I have heard the excuses. I have heard them. And just one after another, and just thinking, all of this is just stupid. Every bit of it. None of it makes any sense at all. But okay, so we have the lazy man. The lazy man's work is just lounging and sleeping. We also have he will do nothing to improve his condition. He's not going to do it. And is wiser than anyone else when he does it. All right, well, how could that possibly be? Well, he believes it. Okay, so he's also saying there's a lion in the road, which means he thinks we're kind of dumb. All right, but he believes all these things, and this this sort of person is destined for not much. It's going to be a difficult life for this person. And now verse 15 is identical, or almost identical, to Proverbs 19:24. It's one of the repeated proverbs. I think this one has an extra word in it. Okay, so now we go to verse 17. Verse 17. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel, not his own, is like one who takes a dog by the ears. All right, well, he's going to get bit. All right, you're meddling. You're meddling into something that you shouldn't be meddling in. You're stirring up something you shouldn't be stirring. You're getting involved in something that is not your business. It's not your quarrel. You're not going to help anything by thinking that you can solve it when probably you can't. And it's like taking a dog by the ears. You're going to get bit, and you're going to make an angry dog now angry at you. Is what's going to happen. Now let's go to verse 18. Now verse 18, going down to 26. This has to do with words of harm. This is everything in here is words used as weapons of one sort or another, and they do harm. All right, so we go to 18 and 19. 18 and 19 go together. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Now, here's the thing. I don't think he was joking. He wasn't joking. That's just a way of saying, oh, come on, I was only joking. Well, he did. Notice what firebrands, arrows, death, and you say you're joking? No, there was nothing joking. The intent was harm. He meant to say what he said and meant to do the harm that was done. Now that it comes back on him, he's going to say, well, I was only joking in this matter, and that's okay. Well, it may not be okay. Look at the destruction you did in your little joke. All right? You, just by saying that it was a joke does not make it now innocent. It still did harm. The firebrand, arrows, death. All this is deception, is the man who deceives his neighbor. There's deception here. And it's like if you caught me in a lie. Now sometimes I will say, and I will, you know this, sometimes I will say something that is so absurd. All right, I think that anybody would realize, okay, that's a joke. All right, because it's just so absurd. I wasn't trying to deceive at all. And I wasn't trying to harm at all. There was nothing in it that would be harmful anyhow. But just saying something that you would understand. Okay, yeah, that's a joke. He's just joking. Going back to our proverb in this is someone who intended harm. That is the big and deception, absolute deception in it. Now, verse 20. This is cause and effect. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. And where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. Now this it matches up with the next one. This tells about the fact that there is no talebearer and there is no strife. All right? No fuel for the fire, so the fire eventually goes out. There is no talebearer, strife ceases, but now we get the opposite of that. 26:21, as charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. This is cause and effect. This is what you have. When there is a talebearer, you get strife. When there isn't one, well, you're not going to get that kind of strife at all. Where you have a contentious man, yep, that's what he does. He makes strife. And he may be of a sort that he loves doing it. Or he may be of a sort to where he gains something out of it. That he gains something because of the strife that he has caused. All right. Now, 29:22 says that an angry man stirs up strife. 15:18, a wrathful man stirs up strife. And you take those out. You take out the one causing the disruption, take out the one causing the strife, and everything settles down. Everything is just goes back to where it should be. Now, we come to 26:23. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. Now this is connected 25 and 28 of very similar things. Fervent lips, but a wicked heart. What would be the fervent lips? I think we could go down to verse 25. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him. All right, fervent lips, it sounds sincere, it sounds heartfelt, but there's deception in there. You just don't know it. There's deception in there. You've got a wicked heart. Now, you can't see that. Someone with fervent lips, it sounds good, sounds caring, sounds compassionate, sounds whatever. All right, it sounds like it, but it's described as like earthenware covered with silver dross. So what does that even mean? All right, in the ancient world, you could have earthenware such as a vase or plate or bowl or something like that, and it's decorated. It's decorated. Of course, the richer you are, the more decor you could afford on it. The poor may not have any decoration whatsoever. It's just clay colored. All right, that's what you got. A little bit more, and you've got something's been painted on it. All right, going up now to where something could actually be covered in silver or gold or something like this. But this is silver dross. And that was a trick of the day, is that you would, the one doing this fraud has this vase of which it's not silver on the vase, or it's not silver on this earthenware, but it's silver dross. It looks good, but it's worthless. You don't have it. You could call it costume jewelry, except that this is meant to defraud, is what it is. And furtive lips with a wicked heart. Well, you have this cunningness, this deception. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. All right, so these are words that are taken, they're ingested, and it may even taste good. This is coming from a talebearer. We've already been told that a talebearer will bring strife. But when you hear from the talebearer, you may not think there's any strife whatsoever. You may not think that this is going to go in the wrong direction. You don't know, but it tastes good. And they go down into the inmost body. That is, that it will affect you. And it will be something that can turn decisions with you. A talebearer has told you something. It sounds good, but there's strife involved in it. There's something else involved in it. Then we come to verse 23, the fervent lips with the wicked heart. That goes in with the talebearer and all of that, but it's all deception. And we will get to that of the one who speaks kindly, but that one's deception too. It sounds good, but it is in fact wicked. All right, we will continue next week. Thank you.